In the heart of a peaceful community, darkness descended one tragic evening. What seemed like a quiet night would soon echo through headlines and hearts.
The wife of a well-known businessman in Portland was found murdered in a burning vehicle in the parish today. 32-year-old Tonia McDonald was discovered some meters away from her home.
A passerby made the gruesome discovery. The smell of smoke, the sight of ruin, and within it, a charred figure that once was someone's daughter.
Charred remains of this vehicle parked along the roadway in the Sherwood Forest community in Portland has left the residents puzzled as to what transpired Monday night. Reports are that shortly after 9 p.m., the body of 32-year-old Tonia McDonald, wife of businessman Beachy Stout McDonald, was discovered with the throat slashed and the body partially burnt. According to the police, an alarm was raised after a burning vehicle was spotted in a secluded area in the community. Firefighters rushed to the scene and put out the fire amid rain. The body was later found inside the vehicle. It's understood the incident happened more than 10 kilometers from Dolphin Bay, where Mrs. McDonald resided.
On Monday, July 20th, 2020, Mrs. Tonia Hamilton McDonald was murdered along the Tarleton Main Road in Port Antonio, Portland. She was found beside her vehicle with her body partially burnt and the vehicle set ablaze.
At that time, I was a detective corporal who played supporting role to the lead investigator, Detective Sergeant Morris Alstead.
The initial investigation was being conducted by detectives from the Port Antonio Police Station. On Wednesday, July 22, 2020, the Major Investigation Division took over investigation in regards to the murder of Tonia Hamilton McDonald. Myself and a team of 5 other members from the Major Investigation Division was briefed and tasked to carry out investigation in this matter. I was assigned the lead investigative role.
Detective Sergeant Simpson and his team moved with precision, a structured sweep, photographs, maps, and trace evidence.
This murder was considered, at the time we weren't sure if it was gun-related or otherwise, but we heard that a car was said to burnt out and charred remains was left of a victim. Having received certain briefing and got certain information, we were escorted. That's a team I was a part of. That includes Detective Sergeant Alstead, who's a team, is the lead investigating officer. We're escorted in the Sherwood Forest area along Tarleton Main Road.
Before I go into the aspect surrounding the investigation into the murder of Mrs. Tonia Hamilton McDonald, I'll take you a bit back as far as here 2019 February, where Mr. Everton McDonald accused his wife of being unfaithful during the relationship. And as such, he contracted one Mr. Howard Reed of an adjoining parish to douse Mrs. Tonia Hamilton McDonald with acid. He paid Mr. Howard Reed $60,000 to purchase acid. Having purchased the acid, Mr. Howard Reed went back to Portland and handed it to Mr. Everton McDonald. To prove that the acid was strong enough, Mr. McDonald tested the acid on his hand, and after he carried out that testing, he said that it was good stuff. He arranged with Mr. Howard Reed on one day to douse Mrs. McDonald with acid. During the process, Mr. Howard Reed was not courageous enough. He became fearful, and having met Mrs. Tonia McDonald and seen her beauty, he said that she was too pretty for him to douse her with the acid. He, on that day, having had the acid in his possession, went to the Port Antonio police station and handed it over to a police who he knew before. The policeman took possession of the acid and he asked the policeman to assist him to the Mary Shine supermarket where Mrs. McDonald was. Having reached the establishment, he asked the policeman to warn Mrs. Tonia McDonald as her husband was planning to do her harm, and Mr. Howard Reed left the establishment.
Bird Marks told the story. The vehicle's position offered the first whisper of the killer's intent.
When we reached the area where the crime scene was established, the burnt out car was still there. Based on initial observation, it appeared as if the car had came to a complete stop and then the crime unfolded.
She was more than a victim, a sister, a friend. A light extinguished far too soon. Home videos remind us this was a life, not just a headline.
Myself and my team conducted a thorough search of the crime scene, and an address was found in nearby bushes, which we believe at that time was from the driver's seat of the motor car that was burned. Having found the address at the crime scene, it was secured and submitted to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine for forensic examination.
Several theories which were floating around suggest that residents might have seen the car on fire, summoned the police who made the discovery. Other theories suggest that Tonia McDonald, her husband, who is said to be one Everton McDonald, otherwise called Beachy Stout, who is a prominent businessman in the Port Antonio, Portland space, might have got her killed. We heard that at the initial stage, and we heard other theories which did not bear any fruit.
Investigators followed the signals, cell towers, car logs, inconsistencies in alibis.
However, as we delve in the investigation, certain facts of the case was uncovered.
Then came a witness.
The team continued with the investigation, and a citizen from an adjoining community to Portland came forward and shared some information with the police.
A pattern emerged. Slowly, the identity of the perpetrator took shape.
As a result of this information, the police went in the Norwich community, where an operation was conducted in search of one Denverlin Minot, otherwise called Bubbler, who we believe could assist with the investigation.
Basically, Bubbler was contracted, and he wanted to subcontract the killing of this person to somebody else.
Built on data, on facts.
When he came to the office, I was given the task to interview him, and he expressed his willingness. There was no fear, there was no force. He spoke to me freely, and reaching a certain juncture in the statement, he broke down, and I asked him what is the problem, and he started to express that him not like what happened to Miss Mac, That's what he called Tonia Hamilton McDonald Sassy. He called her Miss Mac. Said he don't like what happened to Miss Mac and he couldn't save her life. During this account, he implicated Everton McDonald, otherwise called Beachy Stout. That's the husband of Tonia Hamilton McDonald, O.C. Sassy. He implicated him in this crime, in that he said that Beachy Stout promised him a certain figure to have her killed.
He also shared information that he subcontracted a man who is from the Anata Bay space. He did not know him by name, but he met him at a location in Anata Bay.
That man later, his name was ascertained as Oscar Barnes, otherwise called Teeny, of Anata Bay.
As a result of this, the police went on a drive-through accompanied by Mr. Denvalin Minot.
This was no guesswork. It was diligence defined.
During this operation, upon reaching Anata Bay space, Mr. Minot pointed out an area as the area where he met with this man who he subcontracted the murder of Miss Tonia Hamilton McDonald. He saw the individual sitting on a chair and pointed him out to the police.
For Alstead, it was methodical. GPS logs, fuel receipts, surveillance tapes. Like puzzle pieces, every detail aligned.
A strategical method was used and we went and apprehended this individual who gave his name as Oscar Barnes, otherwise called Tinny, from Anata Bay community. He was apprehended and arrested on reasonable suspicion surrounding the murder of Mrs. Tonia Hamilton McDonald. Mr. Denvalin Minot assisted the police to the crime scene, where he pointed out the crime scene to the police and shared some information. He also pointed out additional space within the Port Antonio community where he met with Oscar Barnes. The team conducted additional searches of Mr. Everton McDonald's premises, including his dwelling house, as also the Mary Shine establishment along William Street in Port Antonio, Portland. During the search of the Mary Shine establishment, bottles containing substance, which he believed at that time, where acid was found inside his office. These bottles were secured and submitted to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine for forensic examination.
Bobla convinced Sassy, that is Tonia Hamilton McDonald, by getting her on his side, and at which point she also suggested to him that she wanted a gun to buy. Bobla told her that he knows somebody who can get the gun. So that's how he convinced her to get Oscar Barnes O.C. Teeny in her vehicle.
During the investigation, Mr. Everton McDonald was also apprehended on reasonable suspicion, as also his security guard, Albert Nelson.
The arrest brought a measure of relief, but justice was not yet served.
Mr. Albert Nelson, Everton McDonald, Denvalin Minot, and Oscar Barnes were questioned in the presence of their attorney, and they were charged for various offenses to include murder, conspiracy to murder, and Albert Nelson was charged for misprision of felony and conspiracy to murder.
In court, arguments clashed. Truth against evasion, the process, had begun.
During the trial, evidence was also shared by investigators from the CFCD department in regards to communication made between Mr. Denvalin Minot and Mr. Everton McDonald, other than the video recordings.
Tonia was the driver. It was her car at the time. Tina was in the rear passenger seat, sitting behind her. Tina held her from behind. Around her neck. A tussle ensued, during which Tina pulled a knife and stabbed her several times. Then they made their escape from the vehicle. Then they exited the vehicle, set the vehicle ablaze, and made their escape.
Shock rippled through the neighborhood. Candlelight vigil lit dark streets. Questions haunted the air. How could this happen here?
Statements from investigators, witnesses, as also evidence given by Mr. Denvalin Minot outlining the planning and execution of the plan between himself and Mr. Everton McDonald surrounding the murder of Tonia Hamilton McDonald. Evidence was also shared before the court by Mr. Albert Nelson outlining his actions upon instructions of Mr. Everton McDonald to destroy devices that were used during the planning and execution of the murder of Tonia Hamilton McDonald. Evidence was also given by Mr. Howard Reed, who outlined to the court his actions as relates to the acid that was given to him by Mr. Everton McDonald to dose Tonia Hamilton McDonald.
Portland businessman Everton Beachy Stout McDonald will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
The almost 70-year-old and his co-convict Oscar Barnes were this afternoon sentenced to life imprisonment for the July 20, 2020 murder of McDonald's second wife, Tonia McDonald.
The convicts are to serve 28 years and 11 months before being eligible for parole. Raquel Porter has the details.
Today was the day the Hamilton family had been waiting for.
He will not be coming out back. So that alone is closure for us. He will not be coming out back. He'll be locked away for life.
The deceased woman's sister, Nicole Hamilton Linton, says she's haunted by her younger sibling's last moments before she was brutally murdered.
I was getting ready for work one morning and a song came on the radio that she loved. And I just broke down. So this is not something that you heal from. This is something that stays with you for a long time. Maybe for all my years. And I'll always remember my baby sister because when I look in the mirror, I see her. Because persons used to mistake us for twins, right? So every day I look in the mirror, I still see her. She will never leave me. Never ever, right? So it's just imagining the fashion that how she was taken from us. Cruel. I totally agree with Justice Stamp.
But prior to handing down the sentence, Justice Chester Stamp said Tonia McDonald's murder was the worst of the worst case of murder of an individual. Painting a picture of Tonia's last minutes, Justice Stamp said the victim fought for her life, breaking back the seat of her car, kicking out the windscreen, and screamed for her mother. The 32-year-old woman's partially burnt body was found with the throat slashed on a deserted road in Sherwood Forest, Portland. The judge compared her death to an animal being slaughtered. It was at that point Nicole Hamilton Linton was brought to tears. Throughout the hearing, McDonald kept a straight face while Barnes displayed a smirk. Earlier in the proceedings, one of Mr. McDonald's attorneys, Christopher Townsend, said his client has been a significant contributor to good community living with no previous conviction. Mr. Townsend said McDonald's relationship with members of his community speaks very well of his character. Meanwhile, Barnes' attorney Ernest Davis, while admitting that his client was convicted for predial larceny in January 2016, asked the judge not to take his previous conviction into consideration. Pointing to his client's social inquiry report, Mr. Davis told the court that although the community is in disbelief about his client's conviction, they are willing to accept him. Despite the life sentence, the Portland businessman is expected to stand trial for the murder of his first wife, Marlene McDonald, in 2026.
At the end of the investigation, I believe that justice was served, as all the accused persons who played a role in the murder of Tonia Hamilton McDonald was convicted during the investigation and trial. I want to say condolences to the bereaving family of Mrs. Tonia Hamilton McDonald, and also loved ones who are close to her. And thanks to the hard-working member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force extended to my team, who supported during the investigation. This investigation was tedious, it was lengthy, and the members and investigative team acted professionally, and we did a thorough investigation using all the different arms, the different tools that are extended to us as investigators to ensure that this investigation was airtight and all the members who were involved or played a role in the murder of Tonia Hamilton McDonald was convicted and justice as served.
Though justice was served, scars remain. This is not just a case closed. It is a chapter etched in memory, a call to vigilance, a plea for justice that doesn't wait, and a promise that we will not forget.